We are less than 24 hours away from the global launch of Throne and Liberty, and I have put together a couple of builds here that I call my dream builds, mainly because I know very little about this game, including such information as whether or not these builds are even good, whether or not the gear is reasonably obtainable, how long the process of getting the gear with my dream traits will take. You see, I never did jump into the Korean version of this game, and I've also stayed decently away from learning too much about this game in order to keep the starting experience as fresh as it can be. So with all of that being said, I present to you a noob's guide to the dream build inside of Throne and Liberty. Let's start off with the mid-game build that I put together. To cut this video's time down, I'm just going to put the gear up on the side while I break down the overall stats. And for this set, I've just capped the gear level at 4 for the mid-game build. But starting off, we have an attack speed of 0.3 seconds and a range of 2.5 meters. With a 20% offhand attack chance. Moving on to our crits, we are looking at 870 with over 1,000 for melee down through range, as well as a heavy attack chance of 120 for all styles. This gear would give us a hit chance of 260 and a 400 hit chance for each style. When it comes to protection here, we are looking at a melee defense of 1,070, ranged defense of 966, and magic defense of 800. Our evasion here, unfortunately, being our weakest spot in this build with 605 for melee, 645 for range, and 405 for magic. Our max health would be sitting at 13,650 with a maximum mana of 5,175, and the rest of the stats for this build, I'm just going to show on the screen while I talk a little bit about the build. First off, when it comes to gear, I don't know if any of this is going to be unreasonably rare world boss drops or something, but regardless, if we have to end up swapping some pieces inside of this build, it's not the biggest deal because this should just be what helps us get into our final build. Speaking of which, let's jump into that. This is where I maxed out everything. All the gear has the rolls that I want as well as the runes I want. Essentially, this would be my very end game perfect build, should it even be possible. But let's go ahead and start off with our attack speed of 0.24 seconds and range of 3.39 meters. We'd be sitting at a bonus damage of 64 and an offhand weapon attack chance of 25%. For crits, we are looking at a 661 critical hit with over 900 in each style, as well as a heavy attack chance of 435 going all the way down the style. My heavy attack chance is one of the couple things that I wish were a bit higher inside of this build. But let's go ahead and move on to our hit, which is 776 and then over 900 for each of the combat styles. For protection here, we have a damage reduction of 28, a melee defense of 2,260, ranged defense of 2,210, and a magic defense of 1,620. Unfortunately, our evasion is another spot where things get a little bit wonky here, but we are looking at a melee evasion of 301, ranged evasion of 935, and magic evasion of 1,503. I could potentially even this out more, or perhaps stack one up more should I rework my runes just a little bit. But we also have a heavy attack evasion of 48 for ranged and magic. Our attributes here are 50 strength, 50 dex, 40 wisdom, and 30 perception, with a max health of 17,795 and a maximum mana of 8,475. Again, I'm going to flash the rest of the stats from this gear on the screen while I talk about this build and what I think is wrong with it, aside from the fact that I don't know if the gear is reasonably obtainable. But we are also looking at incredibly low evasion, and that can end up causing some major problems. And to make things worse here, our hit chance is lacking a bit, which from what I understand can end up making a huge difference. Either way, these are probably both sets that will never fully come to fruition. Let me know down in the comments what weapon combo you guys are going to be using, as well as what sets you have put together for Throne and Liberty. But that's all I wanted to go over inside of this video. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm out.